Hello, welcome back, Recapped Mystery here. Today, I'm going to explain the science fiction drama film, Mr. Nobody. Watch out and take care. The film takes place in the year 2092. Through the continual recycling of cells, humanity has defeated mortality. The last mortal on Earth is a 118-year-old man named Nemo. Everyone else on Earth is near immortal and no longer experiences sickness or aging. This has a cost. These quasi-immortal humans can no longer reproduce. Despite his obvious age, Nemo believes that he is 35 years old and was born in 1975. Scientists studying life before humans achieved immortality believe Nemo has lost his memory. People began calling Nemo Mr. Nobody because he has no knowledge of his history and no written traces of it. He lives his life under constant supervision, and every week, people vote on whether he should be allowed to die naturally or medically kept alive. Dr. Feldheim, a psychiatrist, is curious in Nemo's history and utilizes hypnosis to assist him recollect some of his memories. The hypnosis allows Nemo to access his subconsciousness, which dates back to before his inception. While Dr. Feldheim is away, a journalist enters the facility where Nemo is being held and conducts an interview with him. Nemo tells the journalist that all unborn infants live in heaven and recall everything that could happen in their future and how it can be changed if they make specific decisions. However, the angels of oblivion wipe their memory before they are born. The angels seem to forget about Nemo, leaving him to remember other possible futures for himself. This means that the current 118-year-old forgetful Nemo can recollect his various possible pasts, one of which being the real one he led. Nemo goes on to say that the infants get to pick their parents, and he picked his mother because she smelt delicious. Nemo was born with the capacity to look into the future. He informs his mother about the angels of oblivion when he is 9 years old. He correctly predicts that his father's car will skid and kill a woman. Nemo's mother, on the other hand, does not trust him and informs him that one can only see the past and not the future. Nemo's mother is correct in her assessment. Our cosmos, which was smaller than a proton at the time, erupted and began quickly expanding 13.7 billion years ago. 3 geographical and 1 temporal dimensions were deployed after the Great Bang. While the spatial dimension permitted us to freely wander within what we call width, height, and depth, the temporal dimension does not. The arrow of time, as we know it, only moves in one direction, as evidenced by the fact that we can only see our history and not our future. So, if Nemo can see into the future, it means that time can be reversed, which we haven't seen yet. Nemo introduces 3 girls from his area, Anna, Elise, and Jean, at the park. Nemo watches his mother wandering into the woods by herself one day. He pursues her and discovers her with another man, cheating on his father. When the infidelity is revealed, Nemo's parents have a huge argument that leads to divorce. They part ways, and poor Nemo is left to choose between his parents, as his mother boards a train and his father remains on the platform. In one case, Nemo decides to board a train with his mother and travel to Canada, and in another, he remains with his father. Nemo becomes a rebellious adolescent after he departs with his mother. He makes every effort to scare her mother's boyfriend Harry away. Meanwhile, Nemo's father gets involved in an accident and becomes paralyzed. At school, Nemo notices a new girl named Anna and falls in love with her right away. Anna approaches him on the beach one day and invites him to swim with her and her pals. However, Nemo politely declines her invitation, stating that he does not swim with idiots. Anna leaves, offended, and they seldom see each other again. After 2 decades, Nemo stumbles into Anna and her 2 children at the railway station one day. They exchange awkward greetings before parting ways, and Nemo regrets disrespecting Anna at the beach when he was younger. Nemo reconsiders his decision at the beach, and when Anna approaches him, he candidly discloses to her that he cannot swim. After that, the two spend time together. A few days have passed. Nemo is unable to repel his mother's boyfriend. Harry moves in with him, and his mother takes care of his daughter. Anna is revealed to be Harry's daughter, making Nemo her stepbrother. Nemo and Anna are both disgusted by their parents' love and grow passionately close to each other over time. Behind his mother's back, Nemo begins slipping into Anna's room at night. When Nemo's mother and Harry learn of the step-siblings' affair, they resolve to split up to break them up. The news breaks Nemo and Anna's hearts. Anna convinces Nemo to wait for her at the lighthouse every Sunday until they meet again. Anna and her father relocate to New York. Nemo waits for Anna at the lighthouse for months but never sees her, and while Anna sends him letters, Nemo's mother hides them from him, and they both eventually lose touch. Nemo grows increasingly estranged from his mother. 2 decades have passed. Nemo still has fond memories of Anna. He works as a pool cleaner in the hopes of meeting Anna, who enjoys swimming. They eventually see one another at the railway station and instantly recognize each other in a swarm of onlookers. They embrace one another and passionately make up for lost time. Anna informs him that when she was separated from him, she determined she would never love anyone else again. She never developed feelings for anyone. She didn't have anything for herself. She was merely pretending to be awake. This is the moment she has been anticipating for her entire life. She had given up all conceivable lives and loves for him. She does, however, add that she is no longer used to loving. She is frightened of losing him again and going through the agony she went through when they were separated when she was 15 years old. She informs him that she requires more time. Anna gives him her phone number and asks him to call her in 2 days so they can meet at the lighthouse. However, he misplaces her phone number when an unexpected downpour renders her note illegible. Every day, Nemo waits by the lighthouse, but Anna never appears. In a separate plot, Anna and Nemo marry and have children. He is the host of a television show that explains various scientific phenomena. Nemo hits a bird and loses control of his automobile while driving home from work one evening. The out-of-control automobile crashes into a lake, killing Nemo. Meanwhile, in a parallel but different universe, Nemo works at the same television studio but isn't married to Anna. Furthermore, Nemo's assistant drowns as he crashes into the lake. Nemo meets Anna at the funeral, who turns out to be his assistant's widow. With none of these life choices ending nicely, Nemo considers the life he may have led if he had stayed with his father. In this case, too, Nemo's father is involved in an accident and becomes crippled. When Nemo is not in school or caring for his father, he begins working at a local shop. In his spare time, he enjoys riding his bike and penning science fiction stories about a trip to Mars on his typewriter at home. Nemo meets Elise at a school party and develops emotions for her. He, on the other hand, freezes in front of her. When Elise urges him to speak up, the nerd begins babbling about Mars. Elise mocks his nerdiness and forces him to pledge that when she dies, he would scatter her ashes on Mars. He returns to Elise's place a few days later to ask her out, but he sees her with her ex-boyfriend Stefano. Frustrated, he speeds away on his motorbike, only to be involved in an accident that leaves him in a vegetative state. Despite his ability to comprehend the world through his senses, Nemo is unable to move or communicate. At his bedside, he senses his parents' reunion. As this narrative line concludes, Nemo tries to recall the movement of his fingers on the typewriter keyboard and eventually succeeds to lift a finger. Nemo goes back in time to when he spotted Elise with Stefano. After Stefano has left, Nemo approaches Elise and proclaims his love for her. Elise sobs as she admits that she loves Stefano but that he does not love her back. Elise then politely declines him and departs. Heartbroken once more, Nemo swears to marry the first girl who dances with him at the school prom. That night, he meets and dances with a gorgeous girl named Jean. Nemo makes various commitments while returning home with her. He promises to marry Jean and become wealthy and successful. Years go by. Nemo has a lovely wife, 2 children, and a large house, but he is dissatisfied with his life. After becoming dissatisfied with his destiny despite having planned his life, Nemo begins making all of his decisions at random using a coin toss. He writes over all of his belongings to Jean and abandons his family. The coin prompts him to pose as a passenger named Daniel Jones, who is driven to a hotel by a waiting chauffeur. 2 assassins mistake Nemo for Daniel Jones and assassinate him in Daniel's hotel room. Nemo reminisces on his time at Elise's residence. Nemo discovers Elise's feelings for her ex-boyfriend, but he refuses to give up and begs her to give him another chance. After a few years, the couple marries. In one version of the narrative, Elise is killed in the blast shortly after they marry. Nemo keeps her ashes and proceeds on a mission to Mars, fulfilling his pledge, returning to Earth after scattering Elise's ashes over the planet's surface. On board the spacecraft, Nemo meets Anna. However, the ship is destroyed by meteoroids before they can say much to each other. In another timeline, Nemo and Elise are married and have 3 children. Elise, on the other hand, suffers from borderline personality disorder and persistent depression. She has regular panic attacks, and despite Nemo's several attempts to salvage their marriage, Elise eventually leaves him to pursue Stefano. While running through all of the paths he could or has followed, Nemo repeatedly wakes up in a surrealistic world that appears to be a movie set, presumably hinting that it is not a viable path of Nemo's life. Nemo follows various hints spread throughout the city until he arrives to a dilapidated, abandoned wooden-framed house. Inside, he discovers a DVD player connected to a television screen. The 118-year-old Nemo converses with the 34-year-old in the strangely interactive film. The older Nemo reveals that the younger Nemo's life is the older Nemo's past, and therefore time is reversed for him. The older Nemo further discloses that the younger Nemo does not exist in this reality because in this universe, Nemo nobody was never born, and all possible life paths are being played out in paradise in the mind of the unborn infant Nemo's awareness. The older Nemo claims to be experiencing the story from the beginning and that he must survive until 5:50 a.m. on February 12, 2092. After hearing all of the alternative narratives, the journalist is perplexed as to whether one is the true history of the 118-year-old Nemo. Nemo assures him that all of these are correct, every way is the correct path. The statement perplexes the journalist even more, prompting him to question Nemo how he can exist after dying. He wonders if there is such a thing as an afterlife. Nemo laughs at him and asks how he knows whether he even exists. Nemo then informs him that neither of them exist. They are figments in the mind of 9-year-old Nemo at the train station. Forced to make an unthinkable decision, the young youngster pursues each option to its conclusion in order to find the perfect selection. However, after considering all of his options, young Nemo's decision has grown much more tough. Nemo ultimately chooses the third option, not to make a choice at all. He abandons both parents and flees into the unknown. In chess, sometimes the only viable move is not to move. All of the scenarios in Nemo's thoughts begin to shatter now that he has made his decision. The film returns to the old Nemo on his deathbed. Just before dying, Nemo recalls his meeting with Anna and recites her name. Anna eventually made her way to the lighthouse and reunited with Nemo. This version of Nemo's life and the events leading up to it were true. The question now is, how did Nemo see into the future? At 5:50 a.m., the universe's expansion comes to a halt and it begins to compress, resulting in a time reversal. The universe is in the process of collapsing. After billions of years of expanding from a small singularity to billions of light years in diameter, gravity forces have finally counterbalanced the forces of expansion, that is, dark energy. The temporal dimension, which was opened after the Big Bang, is presently being closed with the universe's retraction. Time is going backwards. As a result, Nemo is able to return to his boyhood, see his parents reconcile, and be with Anna. The 118-year-old man gleefully cackles as he comes to with the realization that his younger self has finally found his one true love and life. The end. Please subscribe to assist the channel, turn on notification and leave a like. Thank you for taking the time to watch. See you again soon.